Hello everyone, my name is Stanley St. Rose, and today we're going to be talking about Disgraced, written by Akhtar. Now, before I go into summary analysis of this work, please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and or comment so that the channel can continue to grow. This work by Akhtar, this play, it's filled with things that we don't talk about in the American society. I'm just going to give you guys the main topics, the ideas that take place within this work. The most significant things that happen within this work, they happen within a luxurious apartment in Manhattan, New York. The issues and ideas that are brought up, they're issues that if you live in America, if you're an American citizen, if you reside in the United States, these are issues that you don't talk about in public. These are issues that you don't even try to talk about them at home. These are issues that when we talk about them in the American society, we beat around the bush. We don't challenge them or talk about them head on. These are ideas that are taboo. In this play, we're looking at racism, we're looking at Islam, we're looking at Judaism, we're looking at racism, we're looking at racial profiling, we're looking at political issues, economic issues, we're looking at how certain people are treated, we're looking at class, we're looking at identity and ethnicity. It throws so many things at you, and you just want to cover your mouth. You just don't want to speak about it. You're kind of shocked, ashamed, because certain things that the characters say within display, certain things that are talked about or discussed within display are things that our society doesn't want to talk about, or when we talk about them, we really beat around the bush and not talk about the central ideas and concepts. So within display, before I go into the summary, let me just give you guys a general idea of who the characters are, what they're all about. So there are four main characters within this play. There's Amr, there is Amr's wife Emily, there is Isaac and Jory. There are other characters than those four, but these four characters are the characters that are invited to this dinner party where all of the dirty laundry gets aired out, and all of the dirty laundry or the skeletons in the closet, they're all brought out and they're all discussed within this dinner party that really becomes violent and just toxic, right? These four characters, they're all complex characters. It's two interracial couples. So Amr, right? Amr is this man. He is from Pakistan. His family is from Pakistan. His family are members of Islam. That's their religion. And Amr has done all that he can all of his life to hide his heritage, to hide his ethnicity. When he became a lawyer and he applied to the current firm that he's working at, where he's working, he put that he is from India, that his family is from India, that he is not from Pakistan, that he's not Muslim. He eats pork, so he goes against the Quran. He goes against his family's religion. He's pretty much an atheist. He doesn't believe in God or anything like that. He knows a few quotes here and there about the Quran. He has a perfect American accent. He's worked really hard. He is, pretty much rich because he is in a luxurious apartment in Manhattan, which is extremely expensive. His wife is white. And that says a lot about him because Amr married his wife Emily. In a way, yes, he might love her. There might be some affection between the two of them, but it seems as if he married Emily, his wife, because she's white. And it's kind of like the slave marrying a white woman, or for a long time, when a black man married a white woman, it's kind of to show that I married my oppressor's wife or my oppressor's. It's kind of a show of power or to be welcomed or to be accepted. There's a lot there. So it seems like Amr married his wife not because he just outright loved her, but because it's a symbol of marrying someone, of marrying a white woman in America when your ethnicity, your race, your background is not accepted. So, marrying Emily, a white woman, says a lot about Amr. So he is this man, his family's from Pakistan, that he's erased everything about his heritage, about his ethnicity, about his language, about his culture. He doesn't associate himself with his family. He's separated himself from it. So Amr, he's working hard at his law firm, and later we learn that he's trying to get this partnership from his law firm, but he doesn't get it because he ends up representing this imam. And the only reason why he represents this imam, he kind of gets pushed into it. He's Pakistani. He's his family's from Pakistan, so they kind of partnered him up with this imam. And this gets on the news, and he looks bad because he's this man who is, in the same culture as this imam. It's after 9/11. Muslim people are not well liked. People from Pakistan or the Middle East are not well liked in the United States because at this point in time in the United States, Muslims and to this to a certain extent till to this day, Muslim people are checked at airports. They're checked in different parts of the country for security purposes because people are profiling them. They're thinking that they're dangerous. They're thinking that they're the enemy. So because Amr represented this imam, he loses this partnership at his law firm, and it ends up going to this black woman by the name of Jory, and we'll talk about that more later. So there's a lot going on here, a lot of unfairness, a lot of inequality. Even though that Amr is an American citizen, he is part of American culture. He's done all the right things. There's a lot going against him. And there's even some internal hatred and internal conflict with Amr because of the fact that he's kind of fighting his own heritage and ethnicity because he wants to be a part of the American culture. He wants to be accepted in the American culture, but the way he's going about that is by forgetting and not associating himself with his own ethnicity and heritage. And that has a horrible effect on him, and he has an internal conflict because internally he was brought up by Muslims, brought up in the Islam culture, or his parents are religious. They're a part of Islam, and so having been brought up in that culture and then going against it has a horrible effect on him because he's constantly fighting against his bloodline, his heritage, his family's ideals, because he's trying to be American, just an American, but he's not because he's a Pakistani and an American. He's from Pakistan and he's American. He has Islam in his family and he's American. And today being an American means all of that because there are a lot of immigrants coming from other countries who become a part of America, but the difference is between them and Amr is that they assimilate while keeping their culture. They mix their culture. You have people who are coming from the Caribbean. It's a Jamaican American, a Dominican American, people coming from all over the world where you kind of put those cultures together and you're still part of both cultures. But Amr, he tries to separate that, and has very detrimental effects to him and his psyche and his family life. So that's Amr, a very complex person. There's more to him, but I don't want to go on forever about just Amr. Emily, Amr's wife, she is married to Amr, but later we learn that she has an affair with Isaac, this Jewish man who's a curator at a museum. She has an affair with Isaac, so Emily is not loyal to Isaac. She's a painter, and she paints on based on Muslim ideals or ideals that are based in Islam, and so there's a lot there too. She is, she's trying to have a perfect life with Amr, trying to live with Amr, but things don't go as smoothly as we would want it to. So Emily's a white woman. She's living with Amr. She's married to Amr, but the marriage is not as happy as we would think it is from looking, if you're looking from the outside, it looks like they're a perfect, happy family, interracial family, but it's not true because, we know that Emily cheated on Isaac and they're not completely happy with each other. Isaac and Jory, they're married. Jory is a strong black woman that works with Amr. They work in the same law firm. They're sort of friends. And Jory is this strong black woman that says whatever is on her mind. She's abrupt. She's upfront. She's very she's in your face. She's not hiding anything from you. And the play describes her as a woman who has characteristics of a man. So that's Jory, and of course, and again, she's married to Isaac. And Isaac is, this Jewish man, this white Jewish man, museum curator, kind of friends with everybody, Amr, Emily, and they're all kind of friends, but things don't end up friendly. So those are the four characters. They get invited to the dinner party. So those are the characters. The other character that's significant is Abe, but Abe is not central, because what centrally happens, the significant thing that happens within this play is that these four people, they, Amr, Emily, Isaac, and Jory, they all are at this dinner party together. Amr and Emily are hosting this dinner party, and Isaac and Jory, they come to Amr and Emily's apartment, and this is where everything explodes. This is where the beard scratch, this is where you got to scratch your beard. You got to think, you have to become the thinker, and think about what's about to go down, because the things that go down here are just not pretty. And so what happens is that, Amr, starts to talk about the Quran. Isaac starts to talk about the Quran. They talk about religion and in all types of things in regards to racism, in regards to faith, in regards to why Amr behaves the way he behaves. And all of that, is talked about. In this dinner party, a lot of bad things happen, because while they're talking about the Quran, Amr keeps drinking, while they're talking about politics, while they're talking about the society, American society, and everything that's going down. This is supposed to be a dinner party that's a celebration, but it's really not a celebration. Amr keeps drinking, and they keep talking about politics, they keep talking about the Quran, and what ends up happening is Amr says that he felt pride when 9/11 happened. He felt pride when the terrorists struck the Twin Towers and over 3,000 Americans died. He felt pride of that. He felt like the Middle East, the people, that America oppressed in the Middle East or in Pakistan or all over the world, he felt pride that his people finally get back at America. And this becomes a very heinous situation, a very horrific situation, because if you're an American citizen, that's not something you say, that's not something you believe in, that's not something you cheer for. And America becomes like the devil at this dinner party, because he has these differing views from these four people, from American society, where he doesn't believe in God, he doesn't believe anything in the Quran, he doesn't have a faith. He wants to be white, he wants to be accepted in American culture, but he has these really ugly views, and everybody's against them, and everybody says, a jury, starts shouting, starts talking, starts arguing with Amr, saying, you're a jihad, you're all this and that, and it gets ugly. And then later, Amr and Jory go on a walk, and Jory says that she got the partnership at the law firm that Amr wanted, and he just gets mad and ugly and mad, and it just gets bad. Everybody gets irate and just crazy. Amr just starts to say that Jory is not his friend. They come back from the walk. They come back in the apartment. Jory finds Emily and Isaac having an intimate moment. They had the affair. The affair is revealed. It just explodes. So you're getting racism. You're getting culture clashes. We know that Amr is from Pakistan and Isaac is from Israel, and Middle East and Israel is never a gentle topic to talk about. And Amr ends up spitting in Isaac's face. Jory ends up finding that her husband, this black woman, finds out, and you don't tell a black woman to ever stop talking. You never get into a black woman's face. And Jory's just going off on Isaac and saying, "You're cheating on me." And Emily reveals that they were in an affair. They were having an intimate moment. They even kissed during the play while Jory and Amr was out and talking about the law firm and the partnership that Jory got. Emily and Isaac end up kissing, and then Jory comes into the apartment and finding them in this intimate moment, and Jory grabs her jacket, storms out of the apartment. Amr spits in Isaac's face, and they call each other racial slurs, and things just go bad. Amr spits in Isaac's face. He doesn't, they don't fight. Isaac just storms out the apartment, and when Emily approaches Amr and talks about what happened and that it's true that she cheated on him, Amr beats his wife, and she's bloody. She doesn't die, but he beats her. And this makes me think about the part of the play where they talk about this passage in the Quran where it says if your wife does anything bad to you, you can beat her. And that's what Amr took from that passage. But Emily says that it doesn't say beat, it says leave. And so Amr, even though he tried to be a part of the American society, a part of the dominant culture in America, he ends up committing domestic violence, which complies with his interpretation of this one passage in the Quran, which says you can either beat or leave your wife if she disobeys you, if she goes against you. So Amr beats up Emily. Emily leaves him. Later in this play, she leaves. They get a divorce. We don't know if Jory and Isaac get a divorce. Amr loses his job at the law firm because Jory becomes a partner. Everybody goes their separate ways. Well, we don't know about Jory and Isaac again. We don't know if they split up, but they had a fight. Amr, separates with Emily. They go their separate ways, and Amr ends up losing everything. His job, his wife, his perfect life is over. All of the work that he did to build this life for himself, everything goes out the window. And the play ends with Abe asking Amr for advice, whether or not on how to face the justice system, because he gets arrested because he had some comments that went along the lines or that seemed like terrorism comments or comments that you shouldn't be saying as a Muslim or as a person from Pakistan. And the FBI goes after him. He asks Amr for legal advice, and Amr tells him to stop making himself a target, to lay low and try to not appear threatening. And Abe just goes off on Amr and saying that he's forgotten who he is and his heritage and his people. So all of that just goes bad. Abe just leaves Amr. Amr is just a sad man who's lost everything. And now, even though he tried so hard to fit into American culture, American society, he doesn't fit in, and everything ends up badly. So that's a tough play. It really dirties. It pretty much brings all of the dirty laundry in America out, and everybody ends up in a bad position. In terms of analysis, in terms of deeper meaning, Amr is a person there's an internal conflict there, and he goes through something that all immigrants go through. You're trying to keep your identity, you're trying to fit into American society, you're trying to live a good life. But if you forget about who you are, who you come from, and your family ties, you're always going to be in conflict, because if you're a Pakistani American, you are a Pakistani American. You're part of both cultures. You have to mix them together and be part of both of them. Amr trying to push out the Pakistani and just be an American and fit into American culture, it made him hate himself. It made him have an internal conflict, and it ruined his life. Emily was never happy with Amr. Amr was using her for a symbol, for a status symbol. It didn't work. She wasn't happy. She cheated on him. She went her separate ways. Isaac went his separate way. They're not friends. Jory pretty much probably, it's not revealed to us, but she probably helped her firm fire Amr because he lost his job. And since Jory became a partner in the law firm, we can assume that she had a hand in trying to get Amr fired after seeing the racism and the terroristic beliefs that Amr might have in his heart. So he loses everything. Everybody ends up in a bad place. And it's just a horrible thing. This play reveals a lot about American society and how we behave as Americans or as people who reside in America. Um, there are no answers that it draws. I think it just gives you different perspectives on how different people might feel. I mean, look at it. Look at one idea or one concept from this play. Jory is a black woman, and Amr is a Pakistani individual who that we in terms of Muslim, in terms of Pakistan, in terms of the Middle East, it looks as if that this law firm had a black woman who is black, and this man who is from Pakistan, who's his background is Muslims, Islam, and American culture after 9/11, the American society. It's kind of like which one would you rather hire, a black woman, a black person, or a Muslim? And this firm went with black, and both of these backgrounds have had a hard time in America in general because about slavery and racism towards black people in America and everything that Muslims have gone through. Because not all Muslims, not all people in the Middle East, not all Arabs believe in racism or partake in racism. It's just, or not everybody who believes in Islam partakes in racism and terrorism, and it's just you're seeing some ugliness within this play, and honestly, it makes you put your hand over your mouth, because it's things that we try not to talk about as a society. It's things that we try not to confront. We beat around the bush. We don't confront these things head on, and this play answers some questions about American society and the plight of immigrants in this country, and how you're looked at, and how it affects your family life, your economic life, your job, your class, or where you can what class you can be a part of. And it says a lot about identity and ethnicity and who we are as just individuals. And Amr is this person who tried really hard to fit in, but he ends up losing because of his beliefs. And even when he tried to throw his beliefs out the window and just try to be an American, it didn't work, because he is a Pakistani American, if that's the right term for his background and who he is. So this is a play that kind of leaves you with more questions at the end of it than answers. It just says a lot about race and just how does everybody fit into it, because the most shocking part of this play is when Amr says he was proud of 9/11, and that's horrific. When you're an American citizen, when you're just a human being, that's just a horrific thing to cheer. And Amr cheering that just makes him a demon, makes him a devil, makes him evil. But he quotes, the way he tries to justify it is by saying that the level of frustration and anger that's been dealt to his people, to Arabs or to Muslims, all those years, all those decades of pain and suffering in the Middle East, it's kind of like it's payback, that 9/11 was a payback. But that's just horrific, because he's an American citizen, he's a human being. You shouldn't cheer that, you shouldn't be proud of that, because Muslims all over the world, they're not proud of that, they're not cheering that. People who live in the Middle East, Muslims who live in the Middle East, they see that as horrific, they see that as a heinous act. They're not cheering that on. People who cheer that on, we criminalize them. It just looks bad. It's in poor taste. It's taboo, and we understand where Amr is just coming from a position that's just arduous and just difficult and just horrific, and it's hard to back up. And even though this man tried hard to fit in and tried to be a part of American culture, he just ends up failing, and he's just left in a messy, weird, and disgusting and disgraceful position. So that's disgrace for you. It just makes you feel uncomfortable at the end of it. It puts you in a bad place. But it does conjure up a lot of questions and some answers, but it ultimately leaves you with a lot of questions yourself. Wow. But yeah, that is my perspective and ideas on this play, on Disgrace. Uh, and think about it and read it yourself if you want to know more about it. But that is Disgrace. That is my summary and analysis of it. Wow. Man. Well, please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and or comment. And I'll see you guys in my next video.